If your plan for Europe in 2026 is just book a flight and grab your passport, you're setting yourself up for a disaster. The Europe you remember has changed. It's turning into a digital fortress where more and more your physical passport isn't the only thing you need to get through the door. We're talking about mandatory fingerprinting at the border, entry permits that didn't exist a year ago, and a new reality where a dead phone battery could be the reason you don't get on your flight. The rules haven't just changed, they have completely flipped. From hidden hotel taxes to luggage traps that cost more than your ticket, here's the new survival guide you need to cross the Atlantic without getting fined, rejected, or sent back home. And stay with me to the end because one change actually makes your trip home easier, but only if you know it exists. Let's start with the change that kills the best souvenir in your passport, the ink stamp. Losing that satisfying thump isn't just sentimental. It means a computer now decides whether you get waved through or flagged as an overstayer. Starting in late 2024 and rolling into 2026, Europe is phasing out those ink stamps. They're replacing them with a new entry-exit system or EES at Schengen's external borders. Instead of a board officer flipping through your pages, you're facing a kiosk that captures your fingerprints and a facial scan to verify you for future trips. For us Americans, you don't get away with fuzzy math on your 90-day limit anymore. The tracking is now precise to the second. If you stay 91 days, the system flags you immediately. You can't charm your way out of a ban with a border agent because you can't argue with a server. On paper, the concept is efficient. In reality, it is like a high-stakes grocery self-checkout during rush hour. When the tech glitches, everything stops. This rollout hits every major hub. If your itinerary runs through big beasts like Amsterdam, Schiphol, Frankfurt, or Paris, Charles de Gaulle, pad your schedule. Adding biometric enrollment for every non-EU passenger is basically a bottleneck machine. Quick hack. Long flights dry your skin. Dry fingers don't scan. A tiny bit of moisturizer in line can keep you out of the slow lane. Finally, protect yourself. Never assume the system clocked you out correctly. Always keep a digital copy of your boarding pass or train ticket after you get home. That PDF is your best defense if the system thinks you never left Italy. But getting through the border is only half the battle. Soon you won't even be allowed to get to the border without permission first. ETIAS is basically Europe playing a reverse Uno card on us. If you have ever had friends visit the US, you know they have to fill out an ESTA form online before they fly. Well, now the tables have turned. Whether you are American, Canadian, or from one of the 60 other visa-free nationalities, simply grabbing your passport and heading to the airport won't cut it anymore. From late 2026, once ETIAS goes live, airlines will require this digital green light linked to your passport. No approved ETIAS generally means no check-in. On the bright side, this isn't a one-and-done deal. A single approval is valid for 3 years and covers multiple vacations as long as you respect the strict 90-day stay limit. The fee is officially €20 per person. While that sounds manageable, for a standard family of 4, that's almost $90 gone before you even zip up your suitcase. My advice, treat this like a passport renewal. It is strictly administrative, but it takes time. Submit your application as soon as you book your flight to avoid any processing delays. Also, a crucial heads up. If you hold an EU residency card or a secondary EU passport, you can sit this one out. This rule targets tourists, so legal residents are exempt. For the rest of us, come 2026, this digital approval is the key to the continent. While the EU is still fine-tuning their system, the United Kingdom has already flipped the switch on theirs. If you are flying into Heathrow anytime soon, you need to know about a specific hardware issue that is causing travelers to get rejected right at the gate. If your trip includes a stop in London, pay attention. The UK is playing by its own set of rules with something called the UK ETA. If you're used to flashing a US passport to breeze into Britain, get ready for a new routine. As of January 8, 2025, Americans and other visa-free visitors who don't hold a British or Irish passport need advanced permission to enter the UK in the form of an ETA. By April 2025, that same rule also kicks in for most European visitors on short trips. If you're just changing planes at Heathrow and stay airside without crossing border control, you're generally exempt. But the moment you have to collect your bags and recheck them, you're crossing the border and that means you strictly need an ETA. Unlike the EU's buffering system, this one is live. The fee jumped from £10 to £16 in April, about $20. It is valid for 2 years, allowing multiple entries of up to 6 months each. The app looks straightforward. Scan face, scan passport. But here is the hardware battle driving travelers crazy: the chip scan. If you leave your heavy-duty phone case on, the NFC signal often fails. So, strip the case off first to save yourself a headache. And like ETIAS, timing matters. Official guidance warns approval can take up to 3 business days. Since airlines verify this automatically at check-in, if the system says no, you aren't getting a boarding pass. Cleared the hurdles. Now for the fun part. Getting to Europe is becoming easier with brand new non-stop routes from places like Dallas and Las Vegas. After all that paperwork panic, let's talk about something truly fun. Booking the flight. And honestly, 2026 is shaping up to be the year of the non-stop. Fewer mad dashes through random airports, more straight shots. Airlines are finally realizing that nobody likes sprinting through a massive hub just to catch a connection. By 2026, major route expansions are in place. American Airlines is flying straight from Dallas-Fort Worth to Athens. And Air France is connecting Las Vegas directly to Paris. And United is adding more non-stop seasonal routes specifically to help you avoid those chaotic layovers in Frankfurt or London. But what if you would rather spend your money on pasta than on the plane ticket? Enter the budget disruptors like Norse Atlantic and French Bee. We're seeing round-trip fares dropping into that $550 to $650 range. That looks like a steal, but you need to know the rules. First, the airports. These carriers often fly into secondary hubs. For Paris, that might mean landing at Orly instead of Charles de Gaulle. Honestly, that's barely a downside. Orly is in fact closer to the city center. The real catch is the luggage. That $550 ticket usually comes with a personal item-only rule. Unless you plan on wearing 3 layers of clothes onto the plane, you will pay extra for a carry-on and even more if you need to check a bag. And here is the golden rule for connections. If you're mixing a low-cost airline with a separate ticket, assume you have 0 protection. Miss that second flight and there's no one obligated to help you. So, if you are a light packer, these low-cost flights are a dream. But for everyone else, here's the reality check. If the price looks too good to be true, remember the airline is counting on you to forget about the luggage page. So, let's say you just snagged one of those $550 round-trip deals. You're feeling good, right? Well, hold on to that receipt. The base fare might look cheaper than last year, but the add-ons are quietly pushing your total right back up. Welcome to the era of the green surcharge. Europe is rolling out an ambitious climate plan called Fit for 55. It sounds like a workout program for middle-aged dads, but it's serious. Airlines are now legally required to mix in sustainable aviation fuel or SAF. It is great for the planet, but currently that fuel costs up to 10 times more than regular kerosene. Think of it like buying organic groceries. We all like the healthier option, but we all feel the pain at the checkout. You can see it live in the booking flow. Lufthansa, for example, now sells green fares that openly bundle in these costs. While others are adding environmental recovery fees right next to the taxes, it is no longer hidden. It is a big label saying cleaner skies cost money. And no, flying an American airline doesn't shield you. If your plane lands in an EU hub, the fuel going into that aircraft follows European rules. That cost gets baked into your ticket, regardless of the logo on the tail. So, when you budget for 2026, don't just stare at the big number on Google Flights. Expect the final checkout screen to be $20 to $50 higher per person. The era of cheap flights isn't over, but the era of consequence-free cheap flights is definitely gone. The financial hit is manageable. The digital one is scarier. Your paper boarding pass is facing extinction. And if your phone dies at the gate, your vacation goes with it. If you are hopping between European cities on a budget carrier like Ryanair, your smartphone is now as critical as your passport. Starting the 12th of November 2025, the airline is aggressively ditching paper boarding passes and pushing almost everyone onto its app, cutting back on traditional check-in desks wherever it can. For the unprepared, This is a €55 oversight that is the standard airport check-in fee if you fail to produce a digital pass because you forgot to check in online. You could easily pay more for the printout than for the seat itself. I've seen the panic about no phone means no flight. Well, it's not true. But while agents can technically reprint passes, do you really want to stand in a massive line just to argue over a QR code while your gate is closing? And yes, this policy forces you to stay glued to your screen. Download the app before leaving the US. Screenshot your pass the moment it loads to sidestep spotty airport Wi-Fi and treat your portable charger like oxygen. For nearly 2 decades, we've all lived by that one annoying rule. Squeeze everything into tiny 100 milliliters bottles and stuff them into a quart-size bag. Europe recently teased us with a glimpse of freedom. Major airports installed high-tech CT scanners designed to let you bring liquids up to 2L in your carry-on. No more travel-size shampoo. No more throwing away water bottles. The promise was incredible until the EU pulled a sudden U-turn. Effective the 1st of September 2024, they ordered a temporary return to the strict 100 milliliters limit at most airports because the new scanners weren't accurate enough for certain containers. By 2025, things get messy. Some airports relax the rules while major hubs like Amsterdam stick to the old limits. That inconsistency is exactly what creates all the confusion and bottlenecks. My advice is boring but safe. Pretend it's still 2006. Stick to the travel-size bottles for your carry-on. Don't risk losing a $60 cologne just to save check bag fees. Okay, losing a lotion bottle is annoying, but it's cheap. Messing up your luggage size, however, is an expensive disaster. You might have heard that Europe just made carry-on bags free, but do not believe the hype. That little roller bag you love, as we head into 2026, bringing it on board is becoming a total battlefield. You probably saw the viral post claiming the European Parliament voted to make one small cabin bag free on all flights. At first glance, it sounds incredibly consumer-friendly. 7 kilos, 100 centimeters total, plus a personal item. The catch: it's not law yet. Until the Council and member states sign off, airlines aren't legally bound to change a thing. While politicians debate in Brussels, carriers are doubling down at the gate. A friend of mine now travels with a tape measure in his backpack. Why? Because airlines are aggressively using those metal fit test frames. And it's not just the European low-cost carriers like Ryanair or Wizz Air. If you've flown Frontier back home, you know exactly how strict this game is. It has been widely reported that Frontier agents earn a commission for every oversized bag they catch. So, do not expect them to let you slide. If your wheels stick out by a single inch, you are getting hit with a fee that feels more expensive than the flight itself. The only strategy that actually works: measure your bag before you leave the house. Know the exact dimensions for every single flight you book. And if you are tempted to try and squish your suitcase into the frame, don't. It's not worth the $70 gamble. Bag fees hurt your wallet, but border lines hurt your schedule. Finally, a long-standing roadblock in Eastern Europe is disappearing for good. If Romania and Bulgaria have always felt too complicated to reach, that problem is officially history. For years, flying to Bucharest or Sofia was a logistical nightmare. Even if you transferred through a major hub like Frankfurt or Vienna, you had to clear passport control twice. Once to enter Europe and again to get to your final gate. It was a recipe for missed connections. But now, thanks to Air Schengen, that second checkpoint is gone. Flights between these countries and the rest of the zone are now treated almost like domestic flights. Think of it like flying from New York to Florida. Once you clear immigration at your first point of entry in Europe, say Paris or Amsterdam, you are done. You can walk straight to your connecting gate for Bucharest without showing your passport to an officer. Again, this isn't just a technicality. It can save you a good 30 to 45 minutes of pure panic during a tight layover. It strips out a whole layer of stress and makes exploring Eastern Europe just as seamless as hopping between Italy and France. It starts with a few euros here and there, but by the end of your trip, tourist taxes can stealthily blow up your budget. Greece has replaced its bed tax with a climate crisis fee, and Venice charges day trippers just to enter the city. But honestly, losing a bit of cash is better than losing the experience. In 2026, Spontaneity is expensive. We have moved to a strict reservation culture. Take the Acropolis in Athens. They now enforce rigid time slots and daily visitor caps. Rome has introduced a ticketed system around the Trevi Fountain. For the most popular spots, just walking up is now basically a fantasy. You are now competing for a specific entry window. You can absolutely fly all the way to Athens and still not see the Acropolis simply because you didn't book a 15-minute slot weeks in advance. Anyway, Europe is definitely getting stricter, but there's some rare good news for your trip home. The US is actively testing a one-stop system that could let you skip the usual rescreening headache when you connect from certain European airports. Beyond the talk about new fees, apps, and restrictions, there's one change that might actually save your sanity. It's called one-stop security. The pilot program kicked off back in 2024 at London Heathrow. And for American travelers, it completely rewrites what a connection home feels like. If you're flying from London to certain US hubs like Dallas or Atlanta on the right airline, you can skip the second TSA screening entirely when you land. That means no taking off your shoes, no pulling out your laptop, no zombie walking through a security line after an 8-hour flight. You just get off the plane and walk straight to your connecting gate. Now, don't get too excited yet. It's currently a pilot program limited to specific flights out of select terminals. But if this expands in 2026, it could be the biggest timesaver we've seen in years. Look, Europe in 2026 isn't off limits. It's just not for the lazy. The days of winging it are officially over. But if you have the apps, the bookings, and a tape measure, you are going to be fine. While everyone else is stuck arguing with a kiosk or paying a fine at the gate, you'll be breezing through to your Aperol Spritz. If I just saved you €60, smash that like button and tell me in the comments what is more annoying, the face scans or the hidden taxes. Don't let the red tape kill the vibe. Go enjoy Europe.